Thank you so much, Udo, for that very informative presentation. There's definitely some new information that I'm going to have to digest, no pun intended.
Yeah.
Now we're going to open up to the audience, and we're going to start asking some questions. Before we do, I just want to go over how this works. So we do not take questions directly from the chat. We ask our audience to raise their hands.
Yep.
If they don't do that, what they need to do is second from the bottom of the right on the Zoom window, you're going to click on the reactions button, and then you'll click on the raise your hand function. When I call on you, I will unmute you, and then I will ask you to state where you're from and ask your question. And then we just ask that questions be on topic and brief. So with that, let me just ask you a quick question myself here.
Yep.
So you talked about, the oil that you make. Are there other oils on the market that you think are acceptable to consume that meet that profile and haven't been destroyed?
Okay, we are the only oil in glass. That's a big deal. When we started in 1986, we put it in plastic because we could get black plastic bottles. So that keep the light out completely. But then I read in the Encyclopedia of Plastics that oils, if you put them in plastic, they swell the plastic. And then the plastic leaches into the oil. And I didn't know that. And now there's research that says if you put a plastic film over the food, the plastic will drift into the food in direct proportion to the amount of fat or oil in the food. And when I found that out, I don't know if it's OCD or, but I'm the kind of guy who says, if I can do it better, I want to do it better. Right? Perfection. Right? And sure. It's, in some areas, that's really important. Like if you're an accountant, OCD is a talent, not a problem. And if you want to make oils with health in mind, OCD is a talent, not a problem. Because you can be sloppy and you can do a lot of damage, and that then does a lot of damage to people. So we're the only ones. So when I read that, I told all the guys I worked with, because they all learned it from me. I said, you know what, we should go into glass. And none of them would do it except one. And they didn't want to do it because plastic is cheaper and doesn't break, and it's easier to work with. And so we took the high road, more effort on our part, more care needs to be taken. So we're the only ones who do it in glass, and we're also the only ones who have the blend. There are a lot of people who sell flax oil in plastic bottles.
And where would people find your oil products?
Well, if they want to look at the information, they can look at my website, which is udoschoice.com or udoschoice.com. Or they can go to florahealth.com and find the oil there. Or they can call the company, and their number is 1-800-446-2110. And if they don't want to do that, they can go to the health food stores and they will find it in a brown glass bottle, in a box, in the fridge, in the supplement section, in the health food stores. You can also buy it on Amazon, but Amazon, I'm not sure does a good job refrigerating. So I would recommend you go to the stores to get it, or you get it shipped directly from the company.
And you did touch on this on your presentation, but can you just go over again? How much do you recommend each day?
Ballpark 25% of calories, which is about a tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day, mixed in foods, intake spread out over the course of the day. The reason you want to spread it out is if people's liver is weak, then if they take too much oil at any one time, then the liver is going to say, don't give me so much. And it does that by making them feel heavy, tired, or nauseous. So sometimes when people start, they take too much, or they take it off a spoon and they say, I didn't feel good. Yeah, how did you take it? Well, no. Start small, work up, always mix it in food. And then you slow down the liver's job of processing it. And I have taken 17 tablespoons one time on an empty stomach because I wanted to see what would happen. That's a lot. That's like 8.5 ounces, right?
Yeah. And what happened?
What happened? I was completely not hungry the entire day. I did it at 8 in the morning, 8:30 in the morning. I worked all day. I was not tired all day. And for probably half of that time, I was like floating on the edge of nausea. Like I wasn't super nauseous, but so I hit my limit at 17 tablespoons. But I've been using oil. When you use oils, your liver capacity increases. But some people, if they've been on a low-fat diet, like a lot of people, I think maybe listening to this, they may be on pretty much low-fat diets. And their liver then capacity goes down. So start small. And I would say, look, take a tablespoon per 50. If you can't do that, take a tablespoon. If you can't do that, take a teaspoon. If you can't do that, take a few drops. If you can't do that, take a drop. If you can't do that, take a lick. And if you can't do that, take a whiff. But start wherever you need to start. And then gradually, as your capacity for processing oils increases, increase it to the tablespoon per 50. And then after a while, your skin will tell you. You might need a little more than that. You might need a little less than that. If your skin is dry, you need more oil, right? And then in summer, you'll need less than in winter. And in dry climates, you'll notice it more than in humid climates. But ballpark tablespoon per 50 pounds of body weight per day.
So following up on that, with regard to skin, kind of the state of your skin, whether or not it's dry, being the benchmark on whether or not you're getting enough fatty acids, essentially.
Yeah.
If you're eating a whole food plant-based diet and your skin isn't dry, do you need to supplement with oil?
If that was my case, I would experiment with it and see if I get more energy or even better skin, because I don't know the answer because people are different. I know for me, I couldn't do it just with whole foods. If you can just do it with whole foods, I don't have a problem with that. I'm not here to pitch you on you gotta, right? I'm interested in your health, and you have to pay attention to what your body tells you. Because I can't pay attention for you because I don't live inside of you, right? So if you can do it without oil, yeah, play with it. But the thing is, what I've provided is getting oils undamaged and non-toxic, made with care. And then you use them with care. And then if they don't help you, don't use them. If they help you, use them.
And besides your oil product, and I understand all the benefits of how you've made it, you've kind of like looked at what was being done, and then you've kind of engineered it to make sure that you're doing the same kind of damage.
Yeah.
Are there any other oils that you would recommend, like oil types that tend to be healthy for people, or do they all suffer from this process damage?
No, they don't all suffer from processing damage. Extra virgin olive oil, if they hasn't been adulterated, has not been damaged because it's made by a different process. It's floated off on water, and they don't put extra virgin olive oil through Drano, window washing acid, bleach it and fry it before it goes in the bottle. But extra virgin olive oil has no omega-3s, like this is less than 1%, and only 10% omega-6, 80% omega-9, which is monounsaturated, and then the rest 10% saturated. And here's the thing that's really important to understand. When it comes to the entire universe of fats and oils, only omega-3 and omega-6 are required for life and for health. And they need to be in the right ratio, right? And after that, you don't have to eat any saturated fats. Your body can make them out of sugar and starch. You don't have to make you don't have to eat any monounsaturates because your body makes them out of sugar and starch. And there's a lot of things that people say about how wonderful olive oil is. From the perspective of the only thing that's essential from fats and oils, it's actually very mediocre. But the good part of it is it's not damaged. But if you then use it for frying, because it's such a good oil, then you're doing the same stupid thing that people are doing when they fry other oils. You do damage to the oil, and then the oil will damage you. I say to people, fried oils fry health, fried foods fry health, right? Repeat after me. Fried oils fry health, fried oils fry health. And while you do that, in between doing that, hit yourself on the head with the frying pan. Fried oils, fried egg, doink, fried egg, doink, right? Only omega-3 and omega-6 are essential. People avoid them because of how difficult they are to work with. And then they gotta get into something else. But from a perspective of benefits to health, if the oils are made right and balanced right, more health benefits than any other change you make in nutrition. It's that clear.
And
I should say to you, is that clear?
that is clear.
Is that clear? Yeah. So that sounds like in school, right? No, but it is like that, right?
So we have a lot of speakers, in the whole food plant-based world, and you've kind of spoken to this, a little bit about how there's this idea of no oil, or oil should be avoided. It's bad for your health.
Yeah.
Why is that? Like, has any of them actually looked at your oil to kind of evaluate it to see if that would make sense? And the research that's been done, has research been done specifically on your oil that's in any sort of peer-reviewed journal that they would look at?
No. We have done research on it with athletes, both strength and endurance athletes, but we're not affiliated with the university. And we had to be affiliated with the university, and we would have had to bring a professor in, but the professors also have agendas.
Mm-hmm.
If they're working in the oil industry, somebody's paying them. Right. So we haven't done the review studies. I don't know if the no oil people have evaluated the oil in their practice. I don't know the answer, but I'll tell you why they have been misled. Because they're doctors and researchers, and they do the work, and they're pretty smart. Sometimes they're a little too cocky, but that's just my opinion. But so what they do is they go into the literature and they read the research done on oils. Mm. And there's I don't know how many, there's 300, I think there's 300,000 studies, probably more, probably 600,000 studies done on oil and health or oil and disease. Ballpark. Thousands of studies. They read the study, and so they say, here's what we tried to find out. Sorry. Here's what we tried to find out. Here's how we set it up. Here's the method we used. Here's the results we got. And here's what we think it means. And these are our conclusions. That's kind of like how they do the scientific studies. Almost all of those studies were done with the damaged oils. And nobody talks about whether the results come from the oil. They come from the oil, but they don't tell you, does that come from the omega-6s in the oil? Does it come from the omega-3s in the oil? Does that come from the pesticides? Does that come from the plastic? Does that come from the 1%, 60 quintillion damaged oil molecules from the processing? Nobody talks about the processing. I had a woman who was a TV anchor in New York. And when I told her the story, when she found out, when I met her and we talked about oils and she was cooking, she changed all her recipes because she took the salad oils out of her recipes, right? Salad and cooking oils. She said to me, he said, the most important newsworthy thing that you're talking about that should be going to the anchor person on the news is the damage done to oils by processing because of how sensitive they are. That is the most newsworthy thing, and it has never made the mainstream news. And I told you part of that story. They, they took the interview, and they said they were going to do it, and then they didn't do it, but instead they ran an ad for damaged oil because they're making oil from it. So how do you get on mainstream media if it's supported by the thing that you're saying we shouldn't be doing, right? And so it's interesting, and the way that we've grown, and we're not that big, but the way that we've grown is simply from person to person, and people so consistently see benefits in their health that a lot of our advertising has been done by people to their friends. So, and we have a long list of things that people have said about how the oil helped them. And we didn't know. I mean, when I made the oil, I knew it would do some good, because you make it without health in mind. You make it with health in mind. Oh, probably if it's made with health in mind and you do it right, probably it'll get better results than if it's not made with health in mind. But I didn't know that it would be that widespread. It's so. And I'm still excited about it. You know, this is like 86, is first oil. 1980, I started working with oils. I'm still excited about it because it's so good, because it works, right? And of course, I'm trying to talk to lots of people who don't like oils. I know that many of the speakers are those people. I know them by name. I don't know them all, but I know them by name. I know I've had a conversation with one of them. He hasn't changed his mind. And I'm not here to change their mind. I'm just here to tell the story. If it helps somebody, if it helps a few people, that's good. It feels good. Feels good right here when something you do actually helps people.
Your passion definitely shows through. So I'm going to take a question from one of our audience members.
Okay.
Jay, can you state where you're from and ask your question?
Hi, I'm Jay from the UK. I was reading about black seed oils and the benefits of all the polyphenols and everything. What is your view on this?
I use black seed. Black seed comes from the Middle East. The saying about it was that Muhammad is said to have said, black seed cures every ailment, every human ailment except death. So I use black seed. I do not use the oil. The oil has no omega-3s. It's about 40% omega-6. When people make the oil, I don't know how they make it. It's usually in plastic bottles. So I just get the seed and I chew them up and grind them up, and I use them in my organic tahini. When I take organic tahini, I dump the tahini oil because it's 45% omega-6, no omega-3. Put my oil in because it's a better oil. Mix it up, put herbs and spices in, and then I dip my vegetables in it when I eat my raw vegetables, broccoli and stuff. I don't know. I hope that helps. I give more marks to the seed than the oil.
So just so I can understand what you just said. So when you get tahini and the oil has separated out of the tahini, you dump that oil and then you add your oil back in place?
Yeah, because I'm exchanging an omega-6 oil. Mm-hmm. We get enough of that with an oil that enriches you in omega-3 and has, the tahini oil is not damaged because all they do is grind it up, put it in it's unrefined, but it's an omega-6 oil. And the omega-3s made a huge difference to me. I used to be very cold sensitive. I'm not cold sensitive anymore. Omega-3s warm you. They give you thermogenesis, right? So that's why they're so good in winter. And that's also why you find omega-3s in North Country, like near the poles. The further north you go, the more omega-3s are in the food supply. A fish swimming in cold water needs to be able to swim fast, even though it's cold, and they're cold-blooded, right? And the omega-3s give them that energy. In the tropics, you don't need that. So in the tropics, it's more saturated. It goes more saturated, then more monounsaturated, then more omega-6, then more omega-3 if you go from the pole, from the tropics to the poles.
You're saying the fish are more like that, have that oil or that oil content in them? Is that what you're saying?
Well, the northern fish, yeah. The cold water fish, but the tropical fish, no, not so much.
Right. Thank you. So, all right, next question is coming from Steve. Steve, please state where you're from and ask your question.
Hi, Steve from New York. Thank you so much for that presentation. You aware of the T.J. Robinson Fresh Pressed Olive Oil Club?
No, I'm not.
Okay. Don't expect you to be aware of everything in the marketplace.
Yeah. The way I measure olive oil, because it can be adulterated, when olive oil is adulterated with cheaper oils, and it's because the olive trees grow slowly, the demand grew exponentially over the past 20 years. So they use cheaper oils, and those oils are either soybean or canola, and those have a lot of omega-6 and omega-3 in them. And if you mix those with olive oil, depending on how much you use, that makes the oil more liquid, and it won't crystallize in the fridge. If you have a really good olive oil and you put it in the fridge, it actually goes solid. And if you don't at least get some crystals floating in the olive oil, then my view is that the oil has been doctored. That's the best I can do for a way to measure whether the olive oil I have is actually olive oil or is something that's been doctored.
Great. And we got another audience member question, and we have about 3 minutes left. So
Okay.
please state where you're from and ask your question. Priscilla?
Oh, hello.
Hi.
So would you suggest that if we get extra virgin olive oil, that we poured into a glass container? Question number one. And number two, can we put your oil on our skin? Thank you.
Oh, yeah. Okay. So is the oil that you're talking about in plastic?
Yes, can we
I
pour it
would
into
not
a
buy-
glass?
I would not buy oil in plastic.
Okay,
Just because the plastic swells and plastic goes in the oil, then you put it in a glass bottle, you still got plastic in your oil. It's already in there.
okay,
So I wouldn't do that. In terms of putting it on your skin, you can do that, but here's the problem. If you put the oil in your skin, and there are people in Europe who do that, mostly women, they do their calisthenics naked. You know, they exercise in the morning naked. They put oil on their skin before they do their movement, and they do it for 20 to 30 minutes, let the oil get absorbed. Then they take a warm shower without soap just to wash off the excess oil. And their skin is
Okay.
amazing. But
Can we
if you do that, let me finish. But if you do that, you have to be careful, because if there's oil on your skin and you put on your clothes, the oil will rub off in the seams on your clothes, and it will harden into paint, and you can't get it out once that's done.
okay,
So-
can we put it on our face? Your oil, the one that you are selling.
You could put it on your face, but why not oil your skin from within?
Yes.
Because if you put it on the outside, then you don't know what your optimum is, because you're messing up the measuring system. So you want to take it inside, oil your skin from within. When your skin is soft and velvet and you don't need other gunk on your skin, that's a good sign that you've optimized your intake.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. And we have about 1 minute left. Is there anything, I mean, basically we got 1 minute, so I don't know if we can answer a question, but is there anything you wanted to leave the audience with in that last minute?
No, I just hope you have I just hope you make the most of this gift of life you have, and you enjoy it to the utmost, and you're fully present in it, because it's a gift that is personal and nobody else can enjoy it for you. So if you don't enjoy this gift that you have of being alive, then it's a wasted gift. So don't waste the gift.
Great. Thank you.
Be
And
fully present in it. Have a great life.
thank you. And again,
Awesome.
your energy is infectious. So I want to thank you for that very informative presentation. As I said, if we can unmute the audience, please.
Gonna put them upstairs.
Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you.